All right. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. Really happy to be here. Coming from cold Boston to cold Toronto. It's always had a friend that told me to dress up warm, but in Boston it's the same cold. So happy to be here. At least it's not raining. My name is Erez Tadmor. I'm the field CTO for Tufin Technologies. Anyone knows Tufin? The work? Oh, okay. We're in the network security space. And today I want to walk you through some of the things that we have witnessed and saw over the course of the last 20 years since we were established with our customers, and how network security and how enterprise networks have evolved over the years. And what are the critical aspects that we notice at our customers that's worth your attention, and how, where to focus and what's up next. So I think we got here on time, we can move forward. So I'm going to speak about the evolution of enterprise network and adapting security strategies in complex digital world. Let's start with the start, right? 20 years ago, everything was much easier, right? Everything was centralized in the office network. That was the 2000s. 2010, the cloud started to pick up, right? Things like VMware becoming more dominant in our networks, as well as the public cloud. We started to see AWS and Azure becoming more tangible in the markets. We saw our customers starting to expand there via different business needs, although not with the same teams that manages the on-premises. And where we are today in the 2020s, where everything is fully distributed, right? Most of the people in the organizations that we work with work in a hybrid mode, right? Either from home or from the office. Requires us to kind of make our access controls to become much more agile and dynamic compared of how it used to be in the 2000s, where it was more centralized. Let's move to the first slide. Like, speaking about the 2000s, everything was very centralized, and the latency wasn't that important back then, right? It was, you wanted to make changes in the network, it could take you weeks. You could submit an access to your IT department. Hey, I'm a developer, I need access from here to there. And it went through the IT system, and someone need to approve that, security, implementation, what is the server that I need to allocate. It was very cumbersome. Security perspective, it was, castle and moat. You had a perimeter, you had a moat, you had your castle that you need to protect. Anything outside was untrusted. Anything that passed the firewalls, you're good to go. You could move laterally within the network. You could do pretty much whatever you want as long as you pass that perimeter. In 2010, there was a new concept that was coming into our lives, right? The cloud suddenly started to arise, and you didn't need to wait to server so long. You just need to spin up a VM, either with VMware or with the public cloud. You need an S3 bucket. You needed to have some workloads to build a business application. It was very easy to do so, but it was driven mainly by developers, especially in the public cloud. You could see developers controlling their own infrastructure, and it even happens today, but in much more supervised way. But the main thing here is that we're started to move away from this rigid hardware waiting time, and everything started to become much more dynamic, and the pace has started to change as well. You could see the frustrations from developers who needed to wait when they needed to have their applications that was working on the cloud, needed to get to a certain database on the on-premises, and the time it took them to get this access was very frustrated for them. Again, as a company that worked with large global enterprises, we saw it from the network security teams that were struggling to understand what type of access they are going to give to the developers that work in the cloud. They had no idea how exposed these workloads are going to be, and that was starting to create a complex and higher complexity in our networks. 2020s, something happened. We had a pandemic, and everybody immediately sent home. Now, it wasn't happening, or it wasn't started just at the pandemic. We started to see this work from home or distributed environment picking up even before that. But the pandemic created a situation that all of the companies that were in this space, like think about Netscope, Zscaler, and all of these guys, started to become companies that could resolve the challenge of low latency, by people connecting from their homes. And it's not like specific people that needed to connect from the home. Everyone needed to connect from home. Everybody needed a very quick and reliable connectivity, and of course, secured ones. So SASE, which is the new kind of architecture that's starting to pick up in the 2020s, becoming the major architecture that most organizations are starting to embrace, and we can clearly see that all of our customers, without any exceptions, are embracing SASE in a high pace. And it's not like one vendor. You could see that there are vendors that are deployed in one area, one region in their networks, and global environments sometimes even have multiple SASE providers in different realms inside SASE deployed all across the world. And that created, first, an opportunity for them because the connectivity was much more reliable and fast. There was no more high latency. Because SASE converged network and security, it's kind of sorted the latency problem and also started to provide a way to manage security in the pace that was required based on these distributed architectures. And operation-wise, we could start to see all the organizations trying to think about how could I connect my legacy IT with the public cloud that owned by developers and managed by developers, but also making sure that everything that goes in and out from the internet to the internet or inside the network is also being governed by SASE, all from a single place. And this is pretty much where we are now, and everything is being powered up by AI as well. On top of that, and this is from Gartner, according to Gartner, and this is true for April 2024, the average enterprise is managing 43 different security products in their environment. So think about it, 43 different security products that you need to manage. It's from different perspectives, right? It's application security, and data security, and network security, Kubernetes security, cloud security, of course. All of that needs to be managed by the security teams, sometimes multiple teams, and they need to make sure that it works together. And it's very challenging. We're seeing that a lot of our customers are struggle to kind of create the correlations between the two products and the context that one product could make to the other. And this is another layer of complexity that was added beyond the infrastructure. That infrastructure is given now. We have public cloud, we have private cloud, we have legacy network. Now we need to have different tools that help with security of these different infrastructures. So it's another layer of complexity. Speaking about AI, this boldly came into our life about 2.5 years ago, right? With ChatGPT, it was available just before that, but we started to use it as an end users in a mass scale with ChatGPT in November 2023. And that created a whole new level of complexity and opportunities, right? From one end, the CISO needed to start to think of how am I allowing this thing? The perimeter that was supposed to kind of help me prevent leaking documents outside of my organization, suddenly everybody are using ChatGPT and literally upload documents that are sensitive into ChatGPT in order to excel what they are doing, in order to get more insight and more outcomes from what they are doing. So what is the perimeter? Why do we even need it if everybody, by definition, going and using ChatGPT or other tools to get more benefits or get faster in what they are doing? So that created another layer. On the other hand, it also created some opportunities. and this is even before speaking about the adversaries that using and leveraging that, it's creating an opportunities to make a better connectivity and better integration between these disparate tools that we just talked outside in the previous present slide. So AI creates another layer of complexity, but also an opportunity to go and kind of create correlations between all of these point products. And this is an illustration. In our product, we have a way to kind of illustrate how your network is connected across your entire stack. You just connect to us all the firewalls that you have, the network equipment that you have, MPLSs, VPNs, public cloud, gateways, everything. You can connect it to Tufin. We go and digest it, and we can create a kind of a map that shows you how your different infrastructure and how your different data centers and cloud presence is connected or not connected. So this is just an illustration of how it looks like when we connect to our customers. You will see that same thing, but which are much more granular. What I'm showing here is that we see it across the board. We have organizations that manage 250 million different routes in their organization. It looks like a cell, like a brain cell that have lots of routes coming in and out. It's pretty impossible to manage without intelligence, without context. And this is basically where we are currently. And that Bruce Schneier was heading that in 1999, right? When complexity just started to raise. And he said back then that complexity is the enemy of security. And I think that by now it's pretty straightforward that he was right. We see a lot of our organizations struggle not with how to use a certain tool, they struggle with that, but how to make sure that one tool leverage another and eventually create a contextual kind of approach into the security or the threats that a certain organization is posing. I want to deep dive into 3 different trends that currently shaping that phenomena, and how what you need to look at and what you need to think about when you are dealing with that types of complexities. And later on, if you want to hear more about it, we're downstairs. We could show you exactly how we this type of things. So starting with the problem of multi-generation, multi-vendor technology management, and basically the rise of first, a little bit about SASE. We talked about it earlier. The 2 main drivers of SASE are first thing is the cloudification, right? Most organizations move to the cloud because it's faster, because it's more agile, because you have low latency in the things that you get there. So if all of your infrastructure is deployed in the cloud, or the default way to acquire infrastructure is now the cloud, it's making lots of sense that you will also consume your security stack from the cloud. The second thing is that, and we talked about it also, is that we're just dealing with so many tools. We need to manage so many tools, and it's becoming even more complex that way. So SASE, another trend that shapes the rise of SASE is the tool consolidation, right? Instead of managing a point product, you are now managing within one tool different aspects of security, right? From CASB to secure web gateway, firewalls as a service, and so forth are also part of SASE. So the consolidation of tools and the cloudification are the main 2 drivers of SASE, and this is what basically created the new architecture that most organizations are moving into. Speaking about that architecture, I'm not sure if you could see it. I thought that the screen would be larger, but basically what you're seeing here is the old school kind of architecture where the security stack, this is the on-premises, this is the cloud, and this is different branches and maybe partners that needs to connect to your network. in the old school kind of architecture, anything that needed to come from the outside needed to go through the office, and if you needed to go out to a certain database or to your cloud presence, you need to go from the office and back out. That's very high latency. And this is basically how we used to work before the pandemic, before SASE was starting to emerge. What happened with SASE is that whole security stack move outside to the internet, and suddenly you don't need to send your branches or your partners that needs to connect to the on-premises from the on-premises. They need to go from the SASE environment, which is a SaaS product, and from there, you get the security and the networking, and you can go anywhere that you need. So the connectivity to here is happening with SD-WAN. You don't need to use VPN anymore to log into the office. You go with SD-WAN over here, and then based on your needs, based on your destinations, the SASE product knows how to first make sure that you are secured and you could move forward like a firewall, but also take care of your infrastructure and your networking aspect and connect you. So it's much more modern kind of approach to manage connectivity in a world that the legacy and the data centers are no longer the central, or you no longer need to protect the castle. So there's no more castles. Every unit of the organization is becoming a castle. And this is driven a lot by zero trust kind of approach. And if you think about it, the perimeter is already the identity. You don't need to protect a certain network. You need to protect the identity, which is the most granular kind of perspective or item that you need to protect. You still have perimeter, right? You still need to protect your perimeter from hackers and threats coming from the outside. But you also, as important as the perimeter, you need to make sure that once you are being hacked, the ability to move laterally inside the network is also being handled, and that's happened with zero trust, with microsegmentation, and we'll touch it in a second. So when you think about it, again, we used to run firewalls, we used to run network devices, and over time we added more and more and more security stack into our networks, and that is very complicated to manage, and this is why we are here. So important gaps that this approach is making, and what to pay attention to, or what to look at when you think about that particular problem. The first thing is the visibility and the global connectivity map. You cannot, from a global security, network security team perspective, you cannot manage this entire stack without having a proper understanding and visibility into all of your security products, right? Not just to the asset that you manage, but to the security products that support to manage it, right? So having a visibility into that is key, right? We see, customers, enterprises that deploy different types of security products, from firewalls to endpoint protection, that owns by a certain subject matter expert, and that's it. Only the subject matter expert knows about it. If he leaves the company or if they change roles, starting to get this understanding or starting to understand the problems and issues that this tool is having is probably impossible without having a general tool that helps you to identify these challenges from a single location. On top of that, understanding how data flows inside your organization is very critical in order to understand how you could be hacked, right? So it's not enough to just see all the product that you manage in your network. It's also how they connect to each other, if they connect to each other, and what is the potential route that traffic could traverse inside the organization. So the key points here is that the product that when you're adding more of them into your network, you need to think about how these products could be managed, how these products could be overseen with a larger context, and think about that when you do that. So look for the product that provides unified view and faster troubleshooting. With the global connectivity map, you could do faster troubleshooting. The second thing is implementation. So when you implement new tools, you also need to remember that at some point, someone will need to get access. And this tool, as a security product, is a tool that's supposed to protect from breaches to happen. And it could happen on the identity layer, it could happen on the network layer, it could happen on the data layer. It doesn't matter. Eventually, someone will need to make a change in that product in order to enable a certain traffic or certain access. A way to implement these and manage it, again, in a way that is scalable. You don't want to get back to the 2000 when it takes lots of time to make changes in an organization. Your business is not allowing that anymore. You need to make sure that you have a tool that could help you orchestrate and manage and push the changes down to the different control from a single location and in a secured manner. So look for that tools. And compliance, when we're working mostly with enterprise customers that have a compliance needs like PCI, like HIPAA or SOX if you're with utilities. And these are blueprints that you're required to kind of have in the organization. If you're not standing with that blueprints, you're being fined. And you're being audited every now and then to make sure that you are aligned with that. Part of the requirements of these compliance mandates is to make sure that your security stack, your product that's supposed to protect your network, is aligned with the requirement of that compliance. There are tools that are out there that helps you to govern and tell you if you are in compliant or not, and if not, what you need to change in order to make it in compliant. Look for that tool because it's critical when you're managing multi-layer technologies. And again, this is also from Gartner. Gartner, as part of their guide to network security concept, one of the first things that they're saying is that the most exciting products, the product that will matter the most to your organizations are the products that will eventually help you to break the environment kind of barrier and let you manage your environment from a single location, no matter what type of infrastructure you have. So these are the products, when you choose product, when you're looking at product, look at the product that can look beyond their particular silo and can integrate and can open your organization to other type of infrastructure. The second thing that happens with that change from centralized to a fully distributed network is the need to have much more granular security. And this is basically driven by zero trust, right? Zero trust, I think everybody in the room by now know what zero trust is. The concept is pretty clear. Never trust, always verify what happened in the 2000 when you had a perimeter. Everyone who is outside is not trusted. Everyone inside is fully trusted. This is no longer valid. We cannot work that way. We learned that hackers find a way in, and then with that overprivilege that they have without zero trust, they could move laterally inside the network and cause some damage. So never trust, always verify is the state of mind, is the mantra. But it means moving from implicit security, like we used to have, into a very explicit security. Only a traffic flow and access that certain person or developer or server needs, only that particular access needs to be approved. Nothing broader than that, and of course nothing smaller than that, because then it won't work. You need to make sure that you only get the access that is needed, no more than that and no less than that. So no more large rules that allow traffic for a certain network. You need to be very particular. And the way to accomplish that type of granularity is via microsegmentation, right? Microsegmentation is basically a way to segment your network into a much smaller chunks, much smaller pieces at the workload level, at the identity level, at the data level, and at the IP level at the end. Not in the network level, but at the IP level. So instead of having a perimeter that protects the entire organization, and once you're in, you can do whatever you want, microsegmentation is pretty much breaking down your environment into a much smaller chunks, which are much more granular and controllable. The benefits is clear. Once you apply microsegmentation in your network, and it doesn't mean that you need to apply microsegmentation into your entire network. It means that you need to apply microsegmentation only in the areas in your critical zones that you know that you cannot allow lateral movement. Because microsegmentation first value, and maybe the most important value is the ability to control lateral movement. Because with microsegmentation solutions, you control what is the workload can do. You could pretty much break down any vulnerability that happens in your organization in a matter of seconds or minutes in a way that you just isolate the workload that contains the vulnerability. That is microsegmentation. The second thing is like compliance. Some compliance mandates like PCI enforces you basically to have microsegmentation, different zones in your organization, right? If you're managing credit cards, you need to make sure that your PCI database zone is fully microsegmented. If you're with HIPAA and you need to manage, healthcare records, this is also when zones, all the zones that manage your healthcare records needs to be micro-segmented because this is what HIPAA regulation says so. If an audit comes and it's not micro-segmented, you cannot show the auditors that you micro-segmented your network, you're getting fined. So it's not just, there's not just a carrot here, there's also a stick in the form of fines. So compliance is another reason that you need to have micro-segmentation. And of course, it basically improves your visibility and granularity. You could literally see to the level of your workload how you can control your network. And this is very important. But there are lots of challenges also in getting into that level of segmentation, right? If we talked about how it's complicated to manage micro-segmentation and make sure that your firewalls plays well with your cloud security groups and with SASE, with micro-segmentation that takes you even more granular, this problem is becoming even more severe. You need to not just manage micro-segmentation, you also need to manage micro-segmentation. The three main issues that it creates in your organization is first, you have an operational overhead. You need to provide not just the policies to the micro-segmentation, you need to instruct your teams to also how they should micro-segment your network, what are the definitions, and it's not easy. You need to provide blueprints, you need to make sure that they understand the blueprints and they implement it properly. The second thing is that, as I mentioned, there's the macro, the firewalls, and there's also the micro, like the Illumio of the world, the Guardicore of the world, the security group of the world that you need to manage in tandem, right? It's like looking into a lens that getting deeper and deeper and deeper and making sure that they know how to play with each other. It's very complicated to accomplish. And third, most of these products are managed by different people, different silos in the organization. There's the firewall administrators, there are the cloud security folks that manage the security groups and some other cloud native controls. And there are subject matter experts that also manage your Illumios and your Guardicore and your Zero networks. It's different teams that doesn't necessarily work together. So there's a challenge to make them work together in a way that provide more context. So in that aspect, one of the things that we are specialized in is to help you to manage segmentation from the macro to the micro. It's the same stack, just how to manage the segmentation piece, not just the visibility and how your network is connected, but also how the segmentation, literally how your grid, no matter if it's macro or micro, is being managed in parallel by different teams via workflows. This is what Tufin is also specialized in, helping you manage this multi-layer segmentation. And the gaps that we help and strive to help our customers with is, first and foremost, getting that visibility layer from a single location, but not just the visibility in how your segmentation looks like, but showing you also what are the problems, what are the misconfigurations compared to your compliance needs or compared to industry best practice that your segmentation is currently failing with. If from some reason you thought that your segmentation helps you to isolate any traffic from zone A to zone B, but in reality, someone made a change in a certain control and you don't have this type of segmentation, these are the pieces that Tufin will spot in real time and show your, the people that controls these types of things in your organization, be it network security or cloud security, where there are these misconfiguration and how they violate your compliance and what you need to do in order to fix them including giving you ways to go and immediately fix them and remediate it directly from Tufin, where everything is also fully documented. So we're helping you with these 3 pieces as well. The third thing that I want to speak about and finish with that is how the operation changes with the AI-driven approach into orchestration and automation. And we've been in this business for, generally in managing different policies, we've been in this business for 20 years. In the last 15 years, what we're actually doing is helping our customers to automate changes in their firewalls, in their different security controls from a single location, and making sure that everything is documented. So automation and orchestration is very close to what we're doing. AI is basically a way for us to take it to the next level and make sure that different disparate controls are playing well with each other, are integrated properly with each other, and help the organizations that manage the automation workflows to get better insights into the different aspects of that. So according to Gartner, these are the 3 major, you don't see it from there, these are the 3 major struggles that IT leaders struggle with in 2024. The first one is the availability of resources, right? In order to manage all of this security stack, you need a lot of people, but we don't have a lot of people to manage them, so it's a problem. So this is one of the areas that organizations struggle with. The second thing is managing the technical depth, right? You have legacy network, but most of the team is now focusing on the cloud and the SASE and these advanced networks, which become the default way to deploy infrastructure. So how you take the legacy depth or the legacy network that you have and making sure that it doesn't hold you behind. This is the second challenge that Gartner foresees, because for large and global enterprises, the data centers, if you think about it, are not going to go away anytime soon. They're not going to waste their entire investment that they did in the data center and just throw it out. It's there, and it will continue to be there for the next 10 years or so, because you have critical information there. And the third thing is the development, the proficiency in the necessary skills, making sure that your teams knows how to manage all of that together. So with Gen AI is one of the things that we in Tufin are investing a lot in the last couple of months or even years, that would really change the way that we make our tool accessible, not just for the network security teams, but also to other teams. And according to Gartner, by 2027, 45% of the tasks that perform inside your organization will be performed by generative AI. And this is a raise from 5% that happens in 2024. So it's significant. Obviously, the main things that we're going to help you with is productivity accelerators. I could see it on my own when I need to write a blog, when I need to compile a presentation. It takes me about 20% of what it used to take me with the help of generative AI. Same goes for engineering. You need to do a triage for an incident. You need to kind of get information from different areas in your network. With generative AI, you could get all of this information pretty quickly. Skill acquisition, you will start to see most of the vendors adding knowledge centers accessibility via generative AI. You will enter the tool, you will ask it, how could I do this and that? You will ask the co-pilot, and the vendor will tell you exactly what you need to do. Sometimes it will do it for you. So this really reduces the skill gap that organizations have. And the third thing is that intent-based development is the integration between the different tools, and how they play well with each other is another area that AI is going to raise the bar, lower the bar and make it much more appealing for customers to use. Adversary-wise, we see the hackers using AI for phishing attacks, for deepfake, for building and malwares that are adaptive. Once they are in your network, they could learn how traffic flows in your network while they are there, and adapt themselves in real time in order to get into your network. That makes policy and macro segmentation even more important to manage, because if it's not managed properly, the malwares will be able to use it pretty fast. On the AI potential, of course, we see most of the vendors adding copilots into their tools, making sure that you leverage all of the information pretty quickly and optimize policies. We're seeing a lot. But everybody are going to do that. That's a fact. Where the keys are, the companies that has access to critical infrastructure, not just for their silos, but seeing cross-vendor data and be able to correlate it. These are the vendors that will be able to get more value from AI and make it accessible for their customers. I will wrap up here. Sorry for the late start. If you want to learn more about what we're doing and how we apply to this world, we're in booth A22 downstairs. We'll speak about visibility in multi-gen environment, how to help you govern policies and compliance in your network, and how to implement automation and AI faster in your organization. Thank you very much. If you have any question, I'm still here. You can catch me afterwards. Thank you.